Has he been? Oh, I hope he's been. Please say he's been. Yes! Welcome back to another video, guys. You've joined me in Oscar's bar, Oscar's newly extended, newly plastered bar. So while I've been away in Disneyland for the last 4 days, Not Tall Paul the plasterer has been and done a fantastic job at just plastering and joining in the extension to the existing plaster work. Really pleased with that. So you can see here the existing, or where the original wall was. This kind of line here where it joins. That was where the wall was originally. And then we moved that straight to the back, giving us an extra 1.8 by 2.4 meters. We then moved the windows that were there over to there. We've rerouted the wiring. Sorry, Dave has rerouted the wiring for the lights, the sockets, and the fuse box. Now we've got fresh plaster, which is ready for a lick of paint. Buzzing. So it's a wet and miserable Tuesday evening, and I've just finished work. So the plan for tonight is to get this prepped and ready for painting. I've got some friends down at the weekend, so I want to have this decorated and at least tidy and clean so we can have a little bit of a drinking here on Saturday night. So the first thing I'm going to do tonight is I'm just going to go around the edges where all this plasterwork, this new plasterwork joins in, and just make sure it's smooth and there's no rough parts. So I'm just going to sand all of them off with a Scotch pad, just go around and just check everything's okay, and then I'm going to put my first coat of paint on the walls. So hopefully that'll be all dried nicely, ready for tomorrow when I can put the first proper full coat of paint on and start and get this all patched in one single white room again. Right, let's crack on. Goggles and mask, safety first. I'll get mine on in a minute. Right, so I think that's all prepped. Once it's painted, I'll be able to see if there's any imperfections, and I can put just a little bit of that fine filler on just to smooth any transitions over. But all in all, it looks pretty good. So I'm going to quickly whip around with a hoover, get this excess dust up, then we'll get the dust sheets down and we'll put the first coat on. So let's crack on. So I've just been hoovering down here, guys, and I've noticed, and whether this is either me or it's happened whilst I was away, but this board isn't fixed to the bottom of here, so it's plastered, but it's either popped off the stud work there, or I just completely missed the screw. I promised it a screw and I didn't give it one. So we can't leave it loose like that because it's just wobbling there. So I think what I'm gonna have to do is just, without cracking the plaster, is put a couple of screws in there to pin it back. Otherwise, that's not going to be very good. You can see how it bores out there. So it's going to need screwing in. So I'll do that now, and then we'll do the painting. Bodge job. There we go, just pop a couple in there. So this is the only problem with putting the flooring down before the plastering was done. The floor's absolutely manky now. It needs a proper clean and a proper wash. But I always knew it was going to get dirty. I took the risk because I was trying to save a little bit of time so I didn't have to do the flooring this week. So it's a price I have to pay. It'll mop up all right. It'll just take a couple of mops, but we'll get there. Right, let's get this dust sheet down and try and prevent any more spillages and muckage getting on this floor. Still going to get paint all over it, I can guarantee. So what I'm going to do for this first coat is mix 2 parts, half paint, half water. So in other words, a really watered down first coat. What that'll do is it'll just help these walls soak in the paint. So when you do your first proper fully leaded coat, it lays on the wall much better. What tends to happen, or certainly from my experience, if you paint fresh plaster or freshly plastered walls, is the paint soaks in really quickly and dries really quickly before you've even finished putting the first coat on. And then sometimes those patches kind of peel and flake off. So by watering the first coat down, it just helps for the paint to soak into the plaster, soak all the moisture up, and then your next coat goes on a lot nicer. So let's get this mixed. Let's get the first coat on the wall, because I've got other things to be doing tonight other than spending my whole evening in this bar painting the walls. So, let's crack on. How the hell did you get into this? Yeah, that's about 50%. So I'm just going to give this a little mix, and then we'll slap this bad boy all over the walls. That's what she said. So I believe this is called sizing the walls. I think that's the technical term. Let me know in the comments box if you know better. Boom! And just like that, the first priming coat or sizing coat, whatever you want to call it, finished. So it looks a million times better already. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the door open for a few hours, and I'm going to let this fully dry overnight, and then I'll come back tomorrow evening after work and put on the first proper coat of white paint. And hopefully, after a couple of coats, we'll get this whole new section patched in, and it'll be looking like one entire room. In fact, I've missed a bit. So I'll do that bit, and then I'll come back tomorrow night, and then we'll do the first proper coat of white paint on the walls and ceilings. So I'll see you tomorrow night in a few seconds. Boom, and just like that, 3 coats on. Looking good. And we're back in, guys. One fully extended, fully plasterboard, fully lined, painted bar. Very, very pleased. I'll let you have a little look around. So this back wall still needs to be reconfigured, so we're going to build a new bar, we're going to get new fridges, we're going to build new shelves, so that will be coming in another video, but for now that's purposeful. We can still pour a few spirits on Saturday night. Need to put the TV back on the wall, so the TV is going to stay there. We'll put that back on when we start moving the furniture back in. As I said, the walls have all dried now, so we need to get things ready for the electrics. I have got Dave, my mate Dave, the electrician, coming later on in this video. So in preparation for Dave coming, we need to get the socket back box primed and ready in there. Well, not primed as in painted, primed as in like in ready. We need the socket back box in there and the socket back box there. And then we also need to put the back box in for the light. And then we can bring the wires down for these 2 extra additional spotlights that are there. So we're almost there, ready for our Saturday night's shindig. Once I get this electrics done, prepped, we'll get my mate Dave to fix them. And then there's just a couple of trim pieces to do. So this trim here, we've got, actually you can see there, I've got some plastic trims there ready that I took off previously. So we've got the trim to put back around this plasterboard edge here and there. So we'll fix that, we'll fix that, fix it, we'll fix that. We then need to get a bit of trim for this middle bit here, and actually I do have a bit there, I don't know where it came from, it must have come off the exterior somewhere, but that is going to work perfect to just cover that. And then we need a little bit extra trim just to cover these edges around there. And then finally, skirting board. So we need a couple of lengths of skirting board from B&Q just to finish this piece to there, and then that piece there. And I do have in the garage some leftover laminated flooring corner trim, which will be perfect for this little bit here where we don't want skirting boards to go along. So I think by the end of today, before my friends come, I should have everything done. So it's 9 o'clock on a Saturday morning. They're arriving about 4 o'clock this afternoon. So my mission is to get this bar ready for disco time. So I'll start the imaginary clock now. The first job I'm going to do is get these back boxes in, just in time for Dave coming very soon. And then once they're in, the electric's back on, we can then think about the finishing off trims and a little bit of caulking that I think we need to do just along here. A few little finishing touches for the main bit, then we can get some furniture in, some temporary furniture, and then get on it. Right, let's crack on with this. So you've joined me down here where I'm going to install the first back box. So usually these plasterboard back boxes look something like that. They slot in to the plasterboard once you've cut the hole, and then these little tabs clip in and lock it in place into the plasterboard. So the first thing I need to do is just measure where I want the height of these back boxes. So I want the top of this back box to be 17 inches from the ground. So that is just in line there. So I want it to be there, and I'll do the same for that one, 17 inches. So the next thing I want to do is just put my back box roughly over the wire, push the wire in a little bit where it needs to be, and then, very importantly, spirit level, because you want a level plug socket, just get that as level as you can, and then you can draw the line where you need to cut. There we go. So draw the line, draw the rest of the back box around the shape, and you can cut it out and then slot it in. So let's get on with that now. Right, so the next step now is to just pop that little plastic circle out the back of the back box, then we can feed that wire through. Usually a screwdriver helps, but I've got a pair of pliers here, so we'll just give this a little whack. There we go. Yoo-hoo! So hopefully, if my measurements were right, this wire should go straight through here. This electrics isn't connected, by the way, hence why I'm very liberally just manhandling these wires. Obviously, because Dave's not been to connect it up yet. So we'll just pop that over there, and then that should slide in. If it doesn't, then you can always trim a little bit more off. And this does look like it needs about 5 mil off one side, so we'll take an extra 5 mil off, and it should pop right in. Right, we'll give that another go. Let's move the yellow tabs in, slide it in, perfect. Right, now that's in place, the final thing to do is just pop across these yellow tabs, and these are what clamp the back box to this plasterboard. And when you put the sockets on, the screws go through that and basically pull it tight up against either side of the plasterboard to keep it in place. So let's pop these tabs across. That's it, same on the other side. Perfect. So that's one back box installed there, ready for my mate Dave to come and wire up. Nice. Right, let's crack on and get these other two installed, and then I'll take you up there and we'll do the same for the light switch. So the same principle applies for this backing box for the light switch. I've got a slightly deeper box for this one because I've got one of those Wi-Fi dimmer switches which has a thicker back. So we need a slightly deeper box. This one's I think a 40 mil for that switch to fit in. So it goes a little deeper in the wall, but it's exactly the same. Let's crack on with this one and get this done because I think Dave's due in about 10 minutes. So let's get this in. Same process for this one, guys. Just a 1, 2, 3.
A few moments later.
Thanks, Dave. No, really appreciate it, mate. Spot on, really happy, yeah. Give my love to the family. All right, buddy, cheers, mate. Bye. Top bloke, Dave. He's been in, he's done the sockets, he's done the light switch. Brilliant, what a guy. However, these electricians don't half leave a right mess. Look at this. He's left wires down here, he's got bits here, he's left bits over here. Oh, he's even left his tools. Oh, we'll have to give Dave his tools back later next time we see him. Right, anyway, we've got 1, 2, 3 plug sockets and the light switch fitted. Let's test the lights. Oh, yes. Lovely. And we've got a bit of a dimming action going on there. We can dim them up and dim them down. Yeah, very pleased with that. Nice one, Dave, the electrician. Right, plug sockets are working because Alexa's warming up. So we are now powered up and good to go. So I'm going to clean this mess, and then next job is to get these skirting boards fitted and these last couple of trims around these windows. So let's crack on. Okay, so we're fresh back from B&Q. Again, spending more money, but we've got the skirting board and we've got the rest of the plastic trims that we need to get this room finished off. So I'm going to cut to a little montage, get all these bits fitted, and then I'll check back with you when we're ready to bring some furniture in and get this party started. So to fit the skirting boards, the first thing I did was just scrape off all of the old cork and give it a quick hoover so everything's nice and clean and tidy. Then I can start and test fit the skirting boards. This piece I decided to do in two parts because I needed to get the mitre joint just right. And it was easier to do a mitre joint and then piece a straight end to a straight end, so that's what I went for. So with that tricky corner piece now in place, I could then test fit the rest of it and trim off the excess, giving it a quick mark with a pen, marking a straight edge, and then trimming it with the saw. We could then take it in, check it all still fits perfectly. After one final once over, I then used some grab adhesive to stick it to the walls and then pinned it in place with a nail gun. Next I moved on to putting the trims around the door frames and the window. This was pretty simple, just using grab adhesive after I'd cut them to size and then sticking them in place, but making sure to watch out for falling objects above. With confidence levels now starting to run pretty high, we could put the final corner trim piece in place and then move on to fitting the last piece of skirting board, again using some grab adhesive and then the nail gun just to put a few pins to keep it in place. Next up, we just need to go around with a decorator's cork and put a bead all the way around the gaps just to finish it off and make it look professional. It's a job I hate and I always get that white muck all over, but as long as we have some wet wipes in hand, everything's fine. Yeah, looking good. So that's all the skirting boards on now and all the trims around the door frame and the windows. So that's really finished it off now and it looks like and feels like a complete room. I think there's a gap just above the electric box as well from Not Tall Paul, the plasterer where he missed. Only joking, Paul. So I'm going to cork all of that in, and then once that's done, I think we can then bring in the TV and the table and almost be ready for this party that's going to start in exactly 2 hours. So let's crack on. Right, that's the corking done. Let's get this TV back on the wall. Nice, it's all working. Even got my favourite YouTube channel on. I love this guy. He does some cracking DIY builds. Nice. Guys, welcome back to the channel of Dad's Garage. Please don't smash. Please don't smash. Please don't smash. Oh, this is heavy. Woo! Let's go and get some chairs. There we go, guys, that's everything temporarily back in now for tonight's little shindig. So let me give you a tour around. So if you've been watching the video for a little while now, or the series for a little while, you remember there was a wall that was here. The bar ended between just past that light switch there. It kind of came up and went down to just past that plug socket. So the first thing we did is took that whole wall out and those two windows and moved it back a whole 1.8 metres, 2 metres roughly. And it's given us so much more space now. The bar is going to be able to host at least 8 to 10 people now. So I have put in a temporary seating area here for tonight's little shindig, but in the next video, or one of the next upcoming videos, I'm going to build a seat or a bench that goes into that wall and round there, and then I'm going to have a table that comes out in the middle. So basically you can get around about 8 people sat there in like a bench bar booth style arrangement. And then at this side of the bar, this has remained pretty much untouched, other than obviously adding a few additional spotlights along there and a few extra sockets around the place that my mate Dave the electrician did, obviously. But this back end of the bar has remained untouched. Obviously we've moved the fridge there. It was originally in the corner here where that couch was. But the plan is in the next video to redesign this. So I'm going to take all of this out. We're going to get rid of that temporary bar that I built originally for Oscar's bar. And the plan is to make that whole back wall like a self-serve bar. So there'll be a bench that goes across the whole back. There'll be a couple of fridges, probably a wine cooler, and then we'll have some kind of arrangement on the top, on the back wall where you've got your optics in there, you've got your glasses hung, your wine glasses hung up, and various different things for cocktail making. So a whole different build to come for that back wall. So stay tuned for that. And then obviously another video for a whole build of how we're going to build in the bench and the seating area for this side of the bar. And then generally there'll be a little bit of decorating and some finessing around to make it feel less like a white box and more like a party bar in the garden. And obviously the disco ball will be installed at some point in the near future. So hopefully you've enjoyed this series. If you haven't already, check out some of Dad's Garage RS6 maintenance videos. I will see you guys in the next one for a few more installation and erection videos, which I'm sure you're all very much looking forward to. So until then, I'll see you in the next one.
This can go on my YouTube channel.
I'm Dave, I'm the electrician.
Dave the electrician.
I did this shit.
He did all of these lights. And you're 100% qualified, aren't you?
100%.
He's 100%
Qualified.
And
With a K.
definitely called Dave.
With a K.
Dave with a K.
And you do the plug sockets.
I did a lot.
And that plug socket. Every plug socket.